Hi friends, hope you're well. Sorry this is coming to you a little bit late this week. Feel free to make this week's prayer bulletin either a Wednesday or a Thursday prayer session, depending if we've missed your normal slot for a Wednesday. But some great things for us to pray for this week. Firstly, would you join us as a church in praying once again for our outreach? This past Saturday we had a great time of outreach for Mother's Day, and I was so happy with how things went. We had a brilliant number of church members show up on Saturday to support in our outreach. That meant we were able to reach so many people and have some great times together. Some of us went into the special care baby unit at our local hospital, Whips Cross. Others went and spent time in town at the Mount in the local parks, meeting with people, giving out chocolates and invitations. A brilliant time was had and a really fruitful time. Let's give thanks to God for that, for the great turnout that there was, for the way that we were well received both in town and especially in the baby unit by both the nurses and the parents. Give thanks to God for the fruit that we saw from that time of outreach on Saturday. In church on Sunday, it was great to see so many new families. There were 5 new children in children's church on Sunday. And even before Sunday, on Saturday up at the Mount, one of our church members reported a conversation that they had during the time of outreach with a Turkish Muslim man who said, having spoken with somebody from our church, that actually he wanted to come to church, he wanted to change his religion, he didn't want to be a Muslim anymore, and his family was in church on Sunday. Let's give thanks to God for fruitful time of outreach on Saturday. But also let's look ahead. We've got some more outreach times coming up as we approach Easter, especially next week Saturday, when we'll be repeating and going back out locally, giving out Easter eggs and invitations to our Easter services. Let's pray that we would build on the momentum that we've got going and would see more fruit in the days and weeks ahead. Secondly, can I ask you to join with us praying for our upcoming church meeting on Tuesday? It will be our AGM, where we look back over the past year and look ahead to the coming year, and then that will be followed by a regular church members meeting. But at this coming church meeting, as well as all the usual business which needs to be gone through, there's some really exciting things that we need to discuss and decide together as a church. Amongst other things, there are 4 people who have applied for membership, and so we will be discussing and voting, hopefully to receive 4 new people into church membership. We'll leave plenty of time, as we've discussed previously, for conversation around the future of our outreach. If you've been around in previous church meetings, we floated this idea that we will be looking at this idea of need-based evangelism. We don't want to try and cover all the bases so thinly in our outreach. We want to look together as a church, where are the needs in our community that we are best placed to meet, and how can we target our outreach effectively. We're going to have that conversation as a church on Tuesday. We're looking to launch an appeal and a new project called Heart for the House, which is a project basically to keep our church looking fresh and welcoming and functional, but also to look ahead to the future and make sure that we leave a church for future generations here in this place. We'll be talking about that on Tuesday. But also we want to run by you a suggestion that was made by the leadership team recently, that as a church we commit to spend a proportion of our income, possibly 10% as a tithe, that we commit as a church to spend a minimum of 10% of our income on missions. We already do a massive amount to support our mission partners locally and globally, but we want to do more, and we want to put our money where our mouth is and do all that we can to make disciples locally and globally. So there's some really interesting and important discussions to be had at our next church meeting. Would you pray with us for that time that we have together as a church, that our discussions would be fruitful, that we would be of one mind, and that ultimately God's will and not ours would be done. Thirdly and finally, will you pray for our children's church team? This coming weekend we have some training booked in for our children's workers. Pray that will be a great time and a fruitful time, and that as we invest in our children's team to do perhaps one of the most important jobs in our church, pray that God would continue to do great things in and through our children's church. That's everything for now. Do have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. God bless.